my name is Beck and welcome to the Guilty Reader book tag. Chami from The Lovely Is That Chami has actually created this tag, but she created it a long time ago, so I think she's got that video on private. So I just saw this tag on Books and Lala's channel from like many years ago, and I was searching for a tag to do, so that is why I'm here now with this one. Question number 1 is, have you ever re-gifted a book that you've been given? Yes and no. Bear with me. So sometimes I get PR packages and books for review from publishers, and I got these when I was just doing my book blog, and now a little bit less since I've started my channel, and that's just because I haven't been requesting books, so I haven't really been on their radar to send me new stuff. But when I got a lot of books, and I mean like a couple of books a week, and I didn't request them, so they were unsolicited, it means that I'm not obliged to review them because I didn't request them in the first place. So some of those I just sent off to other friends, or some of them I donated, so they went to either other reviewers or just other readers who would like to get them for a cheaper price. So yes, I've kind of re-gifted those, but I haven't been given a book as a present that I've unwrapped and then re-gifted it to someone else. I have though been given a book and I loved it, and then I went out and bought it and gifted it to someone else. So it's kind of like a domino effect with re-gifting, because I still own the book, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Question number 2 is, have you ever said you'd read a book when you haven't read that book? No, I don't think so. Maybe when I was studying, because I did a literary course at uni and there was an amount of books, like 5 or 6 books that you had to read for the entire course, but you only wrote 3 essays, like deep essays, like 2,000 to 3,000 words each essay. So I probably said that I read a bunch of those books, but really I only focused on the books that I needed to write the essay about. So yes, I am guilty of doing that. Question number 3 is, have you ever borrowed a book and then not returned it? No. But I have had a book that I've borrowed from a friend for like over a year, because I don't know why, I'm just terrible at reading books that I borrow from people. And that is why I've resisted going to the library for so long, but I've recently got Libby on my phone so I can borrow ebooks and stuff. And I find if I just add them to a wish list and then borrow them whenever I want to, rather than feeling pressure to return something to a friend, the library tends to work a little bit better for me. And now that my to be read pile is going a lot down, because it used to be massive, like over 200 books, which is pretty insane, I'm more inclined to accept and read other stuff and borrow stuff from friends and, you know, that kind of thing. Whereas before it was just stressing me out to borrow anything, because I knew that I wouldn't be reading my physical books that I owned if I did that. So now I'm under 50 books on my to be read pile, so I'm a little bit more inclined to borrow stuff from friends or read a book based on a friend's recommendation and prioritize it rather than just add it to my Goodreads and never touch it again for like 5 years. Question number 4 is, have you ever read a book series out of order? Not intentionally, no, but I was given a book for the Del Toro Quest by Emily Rodda, I think. I don't know how I still remember that, but I was gifted like book 3 or something, and then I started reading it and I was like, none of this makes any sense. So I've done it by accident, but I haven't gone out of my way to like pick up a book or buy a book that's out of a series and then I've read that myself and messed up. I've been gifted it. So technically the person who gifted it to me messed it up and not me. Question number 5 is, have you ever spoiled a book for somebody? I have not intentionally spoiled anything, and I'm usually pretty careful about my language. So I hope I haven't spoiled anything for anybody, because I know I hate spoilers. I don't care if the series was out yesterday or it's been out for like 10 years. I don't want to know major spoilers. Obviously for like the franchises like Lord of the Rings and stuff, it's pretty easy to find out spoilers for it just from being online. Same with Game of Thrones, although I've watched all of Game of Thrones. So from that aspect, yes, I get that there's a grey area, but I also just don't like spoilers whatsoever. Sometimes it's hard being online and seeing people talk about a book, and I just have to mute a lot of words basically on my Twitter and Instagram and everything, because otherwise I'll be spoiled for all of the book series that I want to read in the future. I know someone who spoiled a book for me, but that was kind of my fault, because I recommended the Mistborn trilogy to her, and obviously I'm not going to say what the spoiler is in this video, but I lent the Mistborn trilogy to her, and because I owned it and I lent it to her, obviously I was going to read it in the future, but she didn't know that, and I didn't tell her that I hadn't read it. So when I saw her next in person, she was like, oh, how did you react when this happened? And I was like, you just spoiled the ending of book 3, and I hadn't read book 1, 2 or 3. So it wasn't the entire ending of book 3, but it was like a major thing that happened at the end. So I try and be a little bit more communicative about things if I'm lending them, or if people are talking to me about a particular franchise or book, I let them know straight away in the conversation, like, please don't spoil me. Thanks. I think we're on number 5, but these questions don't have numbers next to them. So the next question is, have you ever dog-eared a book or doggy-eared a book? You probably can't see, but yes, I have. I dog-ear books a lot more frequently now. It's not that I never really used to, it's just that I find myself lacking bookmarks now, and I would always make sure that I had a bookmark on me in the past. I've also come from a very literary background, so I often like highlight stuff and underline it and dog-ear pages just based on my coursework reading. Not that I've been at uni for like 5 years, but I used to do a lot of that. So I've come from a background where dog-earing books is not really a bad thing, and they're my books anyway. The next question is, have you ever told somebody you didn't own a book when you actually did? I wouldn't have, because if people are talking to me about what books I own, they're probably close friends wanting to borrow stuff off me, and I'm very, very transparent about what I will lend and what I won't. I wouldn't have lied about not having a book. I would have said, look, I have this book, but it's in hardcover, so you're not touching it. But if it's in paperback and I can get another copy really easily and not too expensively, then sure, you can borrow it. I don't mind if my paperbacks get damaged because they're really easy to replace. But if it's a hardcover or a limited edition or, I don't know, just a really, really nice edition of a book, then I'm not going to lend it out because I'm not stupid. The next question is, have you ever told somebody that you hadn't read a book when you actually had? No, I don't think so. I'm pretty open about what I read and what I don't read. I would never tell someone that I'd read a book when I hadn't, and vice versa. I think that's silly. So hopefully that answers that question. The next question is, have you ever skipped a chapter or a section of the book you're currently reading? Yes. I remember reading Frankenstein when I was like 16 for a literary class, and I was just finding it very dull. A lot of the literary books that I read for my coursework at high school and university I found quite dull because I'm just not a literary reader. So I would skim a lot and I'd skip paragraphs a lot. I can't think of anything that I read for leisure that I ended up skipping through. Maybe Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, because I really liked Uprooted by her. I gave that like a 4 stars, I think. And then Spinning Silver, I gave it 2 stars just because I didn't really enjoy it that much. And I found myself skipping, almost entire chapters of that book. So yes, I have skipped in my reader life. I have skipped a book. And then the last question is, have you ever badmouthed a book that you actually liked? Yes, but not in the sense that I said that I hated it, just in a sense of being self-aware of my tastes, because I know everyone's not going to love the same books that I do, and there's going to be different reasons, and that's the whole point, because we all respond to art differently, right? So when people say, oh, I didn't like The Name of the Wind because it was a very male fantasy, I'm like, yeah, 100%. Quoth is male, and he sees things from a very male perspective, and he's a teenage boy for a lot of it, so you kind of understand that. Same with Kip in The Black Prism, but unlike Quoth, Kip has an entire book series to grow. And yes, that was a not so subtle jab at wanting the 3rd book. But unlike Quoth, Kip can grow over those books. So that's why I encourage more people to read the Black Prism / Lightbringer series, because of the growth of character. I'm not a bad mouther of books I read, I'm just realistic about the books I read. That is the end of this book tag. Thank you, Chami, for creating it, even though your video is now private. Thank you so much for watching. I'll chat to you in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.